Saba Yussouf,
Hi,
thank you so much for coming on Strategy and Tragedy.
my pleasure.
As an exited founder and now investor, what is your founder story and transition into investing?
You know, I am an investor now, but to be honest, I will always think of myself as being a founder. I always want to be known as a founder. Founder is really where my heart lies. It's where my brain lies. I love the stress. I love the thrill. It's what makes me feel alive. And I started my career at Ernst Young after I graduated and taught me a lot of discipline, taught me about international tax. I was up at 4 in the gym at 5.
Wow.
I learned a lot and I'm happy to have worked in industry, but I was just dying to do my own thing. I was dying to start from the bottom and work my way up in my own industry, my own company. So I left Ernst Young at around, I was 24, I think. Yeah, 13 years ago. And I just jumped right in. I started a health food company at the age of 24 called Clever Calories, sold it a few years later for way too cheap.
Wow.
But I thought I was so amazed that someone wanted to buy my company. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was the coolest person in the world.
Amazing.
Severely undervalued, but whatever. We move on. And I just took it from there. I realized that my passion is not in property, which is my family's business, but it really is in STEM technology, science, technology, engineering, and math, where I get to help human health equity. That is really what I care about. So all my founding companies or investments since then have been in helping human health equity, water treatment, disruptive solar treatment, human health, biohacking, skin, everything. That is probably the common denominator in what I do.
Incredible. Well, I was going to ask about how you develop your investment thesis, but I guess you kind of answered that. I'm so curious, how does this 24-year-old coming from a corporate career not only launch her own business, but build it into something so successful and valuable, which even to your own admission, okay, maybe it was undervalued, but you exited it. That is a humongous success, especially for anyone's first business starting age just 24. So, like, how did you go about, like, figuring it all out from the get-go?
When people meet me, okay, well, we just met, you probably look at me and think, oh, she looks like she has it all figured out. I definitely don't. I just do it. You just do it. So you just told me about something about myself that I don't really think about. Oh, you've achieved this success. I don't even use those words when I talk to myself. I just think, okay, great. Now what? Okay, how can I make this more efficient? What's the next goal? And you just do what makes you happy. And okay, that in that first startup I won, I've lost since then. I don't have the luxury of losses, but I have lost. So it's up and down. And I think you have to be thick-skinned to go through it. And entrepreneurship is really not for everyone. I think if someone had told me at the age of 24, this is what entrepreneurship does to you and feels like, I definitely would have stayed in my job.
100%. Ignorance is definitely bliss, right? There's definitely a masochistic
Right.
side to entrepreneurship. So, like, why this? What was it? A supplements business?
It was a health food brand.
Health food?
Yeah,
What food exactly?
where we had these cake bars that were
Uh-huh.
healthy. And back in the day, I was starting to get into my fitness and health, and I was taking supplements like creatine, L-carnitine, when they were just coming onto the market. So it's still quite a disruptive product. And I found a manufacturer to insert these supplements into the food. Then you have to do shelf life testing, you have to do everything, find your packager. And I just made it happen. It was pretty much the first product on the market that contained these metabolism boosting products, supplements that helped your muscles, recovery, all of that into something yummy. And I remember I sent samples to Harvey Nichols. So I was 24, didn't know what I was doing. I sent samples to their head office because back then it was so easy to find contacts on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I sent samples and they really liked it. And they wanted to exclusively launch with me.
Wow.
They gave me 6 months exclusivity in every store around the UK. And I was a little bit proud of myself.
Yeah, of
I
course.
felt a bit cool.
That's incredible.
And there's another product that I've invested in, and we were trying to launch with Harvey Nichols last year. And it was so hard.
Yeah,
I couldn't get
interesting.
in touch with anyone. Everyone's emails are censored, their phone numbers can't reach the head office. Times have really changed in the e-commerce and B2C business.
It is so interesting you say that, Sab, because as I'm listening to you, something I've definitely cottoned on when I've interviewed other phenomenally successful individuals like yourself is a lot of you do make it sound easy. And it gives me a bit of a run for my money as an interviewer to like scratch beneath the surface and
Right.
pick away and be like,
Right.
I just, I know that it's not always that easy, or I know that there's more grit, there's more to the story than that. But what you've just highlighted there is one of the external factors that we have no control over, which is the timing of things. So I would love, as someone obsessed with sort of headwinds, tailwinds, and reverse engineering success on like lessons learned from both the wins and the failures. Let's take this incredible example we've got here. We've got success with Harvey Nicks and your first healthy cake brand, and then you've got the more recent experience. What were there any other differences, first of all, other than just timing, different
Oh,
times?
sure. My MOQ 13 years ago from my supplier was something like 200
Wow.
units
Okay.
of
So less
one
risk.
SKU. And that is an immediate barrier to entry for a lot of founders.
100%. Because one of the questions I was going to ask you was around market validation and mitigating the risk. And this is also something I'm fascinated by in entrepreneurship as well, right? Is all of the customer discovery and litmus tests and MVPs and all these different things that you can do before having to invest in thousands of units or SKUs to launch a product, because it is risky. What level of testing, validation, what confidence did you have at 24 launching your healthy cake
The
brand?
same confidence that I have now, and I don't think you're going to like my answer, but you just go for it.
Do you know what?
Yeah,
I do love your answer. I wouldn't mind one way or the other, but
I know that you would have liked a scientific answer, maybe, where you do your litmus tests and you have your data sets and everything has to be a fair test, how we're taught in school. But really, it doesn't work.
do you know what the truth is? 100% of the answers I get to that question is the same as
Oh,
yours.
really?
And the only reason why I bring this up is honestly, if I'm 1000% honest, I mentor MBA students
Okay.
in entrepreneurship, and it's a phenomenal program. And there is so much emphasis. And, so it's so drilled into me as well to get that market validation, to mitigate those risks. But the truth is, and it's very much based on those lean startup principles, which is great. But the truth is, whenever I do ask entrepreneurs,
Really, yeah.
they don't. They haven't done
It's
it.
funny because you're trained a certain way. Like when I was at Ernst & Young, you are trained with these protocols. And it was just so unnatural to me. That's why I was itching to leave and just do my own thing. And no, I had a basic proof of concept. I might have asked a few people, but you can never be sure. But as a founder, I think your biggest risk is not taking the risk.
Yeah, I
Really.
love that.
Really, and I had to learn that the hard way. If you want to hesitate and you want to be too careful, you're not a founder.
I get it. I love that. You gotta take the risk. Was it fortune favors the bold? You gotta
Right.
take risk.
Right.
So how much of luck would you attribute to your success with that first business?
I don't believe in luck at all.
Oh,
I don't believe in luck in any area of my life.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, sure, coincidence, but coincidence statistically is a very low chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you believe in luck?
I don't think luck exists. I think it's completely manufactured. It's
Wow.
mental stigma. I don't understand the concept of luck.
That's really fascinating.
I think good things happen to you, sure. Bad things happen to you. I just see that as signals in my life. I don't double down or lean into this concept of luck because I think it can be misleading. I think it can give you false hope
Yeah.
for things. I believe in hard work.
So connecting it to you saying you do believe in coincidences.
Of course.
What about when a lot of extremely low probability coincidences coalesce together all at once? That's not luck? That's still just coincidence playing a part in the game?
It's just math.
It's just math.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
People think that math is a subject that you learn in school. Math is a language as well, right? Math is how we compute life as well as English. Okay, so I think in maths sometimes. It helps me think clearer. But no, a lot of low probability things happening to you has its own probability.
For sure.
I don't want to get too technical, might stray from the subject, but that has its own probability of happening to you if you win the lottery. I don't think it's luck. There was just a probability for that, and you were the person.
So using your healthy cake business, or what was it called again?
Clever calories
Clever
with a
calories.
K, yeah.
Okay. Very Kardashian of you. I love that. Clever calories. Let's use that as an example because like that was a success, like by and large. I think that particular anecdote that you recount of sending some samples to to the buyers at Harvey Nicks.
Yeah.
And then, that bit of the story sounds really easy and wonderful and successful. It's just like, okay, we love this. Let's do it.
Yeah, that
Place
was
that bet on
literally
you.
what happened. They emailed me saying, "Can we order 2,000? Okay, now we want you in all stores." And I thought, oh, entrepreneurship is so easy. What is everyone complaining about?
It's interesting also how much early success, with you saying that, can really skew your perception. If you've been following the show for a while, then first of all, a great big thank you to you. I massively appreciate it. But also, you may have noticed all these little snippets of videos that are shared on social media. Now, if you're wondering, does Steph have this huge marketing team behind her of editors and social media strategists for all this? I'm going to let you in on a secret. My best weapon is Opus. Now, I have a unique affiliate link in the show notes that you can head straight to check out. How it works is honestly amazing. It takes longer form content, just like this podcast, and it automatically goes through the full video and finds the most interesting clips that it will think will perform the best on social media. It will automatically snip them up. It will automatically resize to 9:16 dimensions, and it adds subtitles on top of it. So I don't have to lift a finger. Not only that, but what genuinely makes me so happy is that I can also customize the branding. I get to upload my own fonts. I get to customize the colors. So it's all on brand and looks as professional as possible. Gang, this is honestly a game changer. This is why I wanted to share it with you. So head to the show notes for the unique link and discover how you can 10x your social media content output with just one single tool. Let me know how you get on. Let's head back into the episode. It's interesting also how much early success, with you saying that, can really skew your perception of how easy or how hard it can be, because getting that, you think exactly that. You're like, okay, this is a piece of cake. What's everyone complaining about? But the fact that you produce that product at that point in time, you hit the buyer's office at the right moment. Like you don't know whatever else was going on in their day or with other suppliers. Like maybe they just ended a contract with another similar brand. All of these other, in air quotes, lucky coincidences and things that come into play there. Your response to that is this was all just a mathematical.
It's just probability. I mean, let me ask you a question, if I may. If you really want to believe in luck right now, tell me, how would that help you in your entrepreneurial journey? What good is going to come of you believing in luck?
For me, that's a wonderful question. I love how you turn the tables on me. For me, so I delivered a whole session on hacking luck, which is why I'm really glad that this accidental subject has come up here, which is awesome. For me, it's about how can we stack the odds in our favor. So if there are, my view is that there are always going to be things outside of your control. And so all we can do is control the controllables, and things like external factors such as macroeconomic environment, the timing, market shifts, other people, those things are always going to be outside of your control. So with that knowledge in mind, I'm a huge believer that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And so reverse engineering success and hacking luck is stacking the odds in your favor by taking more of those shots. And of course, being as strategic as you can possibly be, but executing on that.
I see where you're going with this, and I actually agree with the logic behind it, but perhaps I call luck a different thing, which is something that we were talking about, which is being high agency. So if you want to stack the odds in your favor, you have to be high agency about it. Otherwise, you will have a lot of bad luck.
Okay. You mentioned the magic words here, so let's dive into that. What do you mean by high agency exactly?
How do I say it? High agency is really, it's a philosophical strategy, I would say, to alter your reality. And I think I've learned how to be high agency over the years. I was the opposite before. And it allows my brain to run on signals instead of emotions. So that allows my decision-making process to be so much faster which equals success being so much closer, which you might call luck.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what does a high agency individual look like? How do they operate? Let's kind of paint a picture of that.
If I talk about high agency founders, which is something probably I'm most familiar with, high agency founders are highly competent, they're highly focused, but they have a lot more time and resources than a low agency person. Because being high agency is a constant reflection on yourself. It's almost like you have a barometer that you live by that checks you every day. And you ask yourself, okay, was this high or low agency? Okay, noted. It is your decision tree. So, I mean, I'll give you an example. I speak with founders all the time, and someone came up to me yesterday and said, oh, I just don't know. This is so difficult. This is so difficult. That's very low agency to me. A high agency person would say, okay, this is difficult. What is the minimum effort I need to put into this to make it less difficult? That is efficiency to get the job done.
More of a productive mindset.
Productive, efficient,
solution oriented.
Competent, highly competent.
To me, it sounds like the opposite end of the spectrum, with like victim mentality being at that end, right?
Excuse mentality.
Exactly.
And another founder said to me the other day, for example, they said, oh, I just don't know if I should fire my CTO. I can't decide. And I said, okay, tell me, what is the cost of you not firing your CTO? And when you understand that cost, you will know in 1 second whether you are keeping or firing that CTO. Next. What's the next problem? I mean, I work with amazing founders. This skincare brand that I backed, she was a very high agency founder because she didn't just find solutions for problems. She actually dissolved the conditions around the problem so that it could never happen again. They just go one step forward, more forward, high agency people.
Interesting.
And I think that is actually the difference between successful and unsuccessful founders.
So expand on that. So this particular founder has dissolved the problems around.
She's mid-sea. She's amazing. She managed to dissolve the situation, the conditions around the problem so that the problem can never arise again. This is something she does on a monthly basis. Don't get me wrong. That is why she impressed me so much.
Yeah, she sounds very impressive. So can you give us a real life example to bring that to life?
I mean, we were trying to figure out what manufacturer to use for the skincare brand. And she was facing so many roadblocks and so many issues. And I was watching her. She saw the doors as just glass walls. That's all. And she managed to find a way to appease the manufacturer, to give him what he wanted while she also got what she wanted from an ingredients perspective.
Optimal negotiation.
And another founder would just say, okay, thanks.
Move on.
Bye, next, let's make some calls. She managed to lower her MOQ by, again, giving them a deal that was so good that they couldn't say no.
Amazing.
She's owning the situation. She's controlling the situation. And really, she does this on a monthly basis.
Love that.
That to me is what high agency...
Taking accountability,
you're
being proactive.
Being accountable for yourself. No one is going to be accountable for you.
Yeah. And what practical tips can you help founders get to that space? Because I think you mentioned before, like, you weren't in that space. It takes a bit of work to do that. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs that feel that pressure, and you're using that example of decision making as well. Decision fatigue is real. And you're like,
oh my
God,
God,
do this, do I do that, constant on a daily basis?
Yeah, I get a lot of questions about that, actually. For example, time management.
Yeah.
I see a lot of founders and I see a lot of entrepreneurs also promoting stealth mode, which is where apparently you work 18, 20 hours a day because that's the only way you will succeed. And I'm so against it. I think it's so unfair actually to promote that because your brain, the optimal working bracket is like 4 hours, I think, for your frontal lobe. So I split up that 4 hours into 15-minute intervals because you can do anything for 15 minutes. It's not that bad. So my calendar looks ridiculous because it will be 15 minutes of doing something completely different to what I was doing 15 minutes ago.
Okay.
And my output is 10x.
Interesting. So this actually stands in complete contrast to, is it Jack Dorsey's theory of having those like themed days? Because
I could never do that.
right,
Yeah.
okay. So this is like his school of thought
Yeah.
is the context switching. You
Yeah.
ties out your brain even more quickly, and so you'll have like Monday's your marketing day, Tuesday's your sales day. That doesn't work for you. So expand on this other
So
train of
I do the complete opposite actually, and maybe because everyone's different,
Sure.
maybe a founder could test it.
yeah, that's a great
1
idea.
week Jack Dorsey's way,
Yeah.
1 week Saba's way, and
Yeah.
see what suits you. So
Interesting.
you know, there's that phrase that if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person or something. That is because
So
busy
true.
people have to be high agency. There's no other way they can survive.
Yeah.
So for me, it's 15 minutes because in my head, you can do anything for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you switch to a completely different topic, a different job. And I noticed that my output was maybe even more than 10x.
Wow.
Actually, and your mind is stimulated.
Do you have any sort of explanation behind that? So like Jack Dorsey's explanation is to avoid the context switching and the mental drain. What's your argument on the flip side?
To avoid boredom, to avoid losing focus,
Yeah, that makes sense.
to avoid drowning and stressing and focusing on the one problem.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't fix my problem in 15 minutes, but I know at Tuesday at 8:15 a.m. I'm going to revisit it
Yeah. Interesting.
with a fresh pair of eyes.
This does make a lot of sense.
Give it a try.
Yeah,
It's not for everyone.
I
So
would.
that's something founders ask a lot
Yeah.
for, how to help with time management, and they burn out and stealth mode. And I think another thing, I wouldn't call them red flags, but I noticed that founders, sometimes they are operating from a place of desperation or a place of lack. And it just shouldn't be the case. They say to me, oh, we can't scale until we raise money. Oh, we can't do this until we have investment. To me, that's just a very low agency mindset, because in this day and age, with all the amazing tools of AI and technology, investment is not your oxygen. Investment is just the jet fuel for the plane that you should already be flying. So instead of saying to me, I can't do this until I have money, tell me what you have done with what you've got. You can build an MVP in 48 hours now using a $30 software online. That is the beauty of the world now. We're in such a great time. So I think the victim mindset, it only hurts yourself. And this is no disrespect to other people. I was that person.
Yeah.
I was all of the above, and I had to train myself out of it. But the good thing about being high agency is that it's not correlated to intelligence. It's really easy to learn. You just pick it up like this.
It boils down to a responsibility for me. It's like taking that accountability. And it is
Right.
genuine. I know I'm about to say a buzzword, but it is genuinely empowering. It's one of the most empowering things, because you are literally taking back that power, that control. It's like, okay, what can I do about the situation?
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the investment and going back to founders not needing it nearly.
Yeah.
We'll talk about all this as well. But for my entrepreneurial listeners, if there are any fundraising founders out there, talk to us a little bit more on your investment thesis, what you look for. We've covered the high agency founders, so I hope that's clear for everyone. And beyond that, tell us more about what you invest in.
Like I said, I love STEM. Science, tech, engineering, and math. And that may sound a bit nerdy, but really everything can be STEM.
Right.
If you want it to be, if you apply a bit of technology, if you apply a bit of science. So what I really look for is, firstly, I look for a founder that's likable. And that might seem really basic or trivial, but you'd be surprised.
It's important.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Being likable is something you can't fake. And it's so obvious when someone is trying to fake it. And how can I work with a founder that I don't like? And also, why should a founder work with an investor that they don't like?
Sure.
It works both ways.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I actually
So
look for.
primarily just in terms of like that partnership, right? Because you're in it for the long game with that too. But what also comes to mind beyond that is you backing the jockey, so to speak, is how they're going to go out there in the world as well, right? And sell and attract talent.
That would be the high agency factor.
Yeah.
Are you a function of high agency? And you can really tell immediately. So likable, high agency, and what is it that you're doing to help human health equity or help the world or find a solution? That's what I'm really interested in. For example, I co-founded a caviar brand in the UAE. It's something so off-brand for me, but it just made eating caviar a bit more high agency.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my thrill out of the product, right? Still making it happen. It's food tech. It's launching in a few months. But I still got what I wanted out of a very surprising niche product. So it doesn't have to be this hard tech app.
Right.
It's just something that really is changing how we live, work, or play.
There's a component in
Yeah.
it. Okay. So all right, so super clear there. Is there a particular stage that you invest in as well? Like pre-seed, Series A?
It would be nothing more than Series A.
Okay.
Yeah. Napkin, pre-seed, seed, rarely Series A.
Napkin?
Napkin idea, you know?
Okay.
Just draw an idea on a napkin.
Back of fag packet.
Yeah,
East London as well. Okay, all right. I was like, wait, napkin? This is another like...
So yeah, napkin is maybe North London. I don't know, but
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, napkin ideas.
Very
I
early
think,
stage then.
yeah, I wouldn't invest later because you want to get in early so you have first right of refusal of the Series A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise it's not worth
It
a
makes
while.
sense. It does make sense
To
from
come
an
in so
investor's
late.
perspective.
Yeah.
What I would just want to link that back to is a comment you made a little bit earlier around the one of the high agency factors as well with the funding. So I know that there are certain types of business that you definitely can MVP, to your point,
Yeah.
spend a low amount of money, spend whatever you can, beg, borrow, steal.
Yeah.
But then there are other types, maybe they just don't fit into your investment thesis, but I know there are other types of businesses, whether it is the tech investment required, or even, you mentioned your caviar brand, for example, luxury or premium brand positioning requires even just that investment into that solid branding and getting it in the right places. So I kind of want to challenge that point as well, given that you come in at those early days and you know how much that can unlock for founders. I want to kind of challenge that point around actually, I think some companies need a certain cash injection to get started.
Do you?
What's your take on? You don't?
Yeah, no. I'm always learning as well. Maybe you're right. I'm trying to think. So, for example, my caviar brand, it is a luxury brand. We negotiated excellent payment terms with the supplier. They are the best supplier of caviar probably in the world.
Wow.
They supply Nobu, Zuma, Gaia. They are fully sustainable protocols. And we negotiated a really good payment plan with them, a 30-day payment plan that immediately dropped our barrier to entry.
Nice.
And that came from, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Good
That's
negotiation.
How to negotiate.
Uh-huh.
They weren't doing me a favor or anything.
Yeah.
And then packaging, we tried maybe 10 different styles of packaging. One packaging cost £25. The other was a fraction, but we made it work.
Uh-huh.
Sales and marketing, I understand what you're saying. Okay, if you're starting an LVMH brand, okay, you're going to need a $10 million marketing budget. Or if you want to do influencer marketing, it's expensive.
Exactly.
These days,
This
my
is my point.
gosh,
Yeah.
I got a quote from an influencer agency for $65,000
Yeah.
for 3 influencers doing a post.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Everything has to make sense
Yeah.
in this world. And
Mhm.
if it doesn't, that is a red flag. Pivot.
Mhm.
Pivot. We're living in a world now where we have the luxury
Mm.
of pivoting because we have so many low-cost options
Mhm.
online available to us.
So what are you using with your caviar?
So for that, for example, there are other ways to do it. For example, you can gift influencers. Even if 10% of the influencers post, you will make your money back, right? You can use UGC. UGC is super cheap, and you run your own ads based on that UGC that costs you maybe $100. But everything is done with the best and the most luxury way. Speaking of luxury, if you want to use that example,
Yeah.
ads work. A friend of mine has a luxury clothing brand. She started off by doing $200 a month
Wow.
of spend on luxury ads to collect her data.
Wow.
There is always a solution.
Yeah.
And if you can't reach out to me or an expert to ask your AI, that you're paying £20 a month for. We're really, really in the best time.
Amazing.
There's always a solution.
Yeah, I love that. What other growth levers are working for you with this caviar brand? Do you do UGC, sampling to influencers? Is there anything else?
We're launching in a month or two.
Sorry, yes.
So we will be doing all of the above,
Yeah.
but there's no reason why you can't do luxury at low cost. I'll never use the word cheap because cheap insinuates low quality.
Yeah.
We're living in a time now where, okay, in business school, I always talk about this golden triangle. I think it's called cheap, fast, good
Exactly.
triangle.
Pick
And we
any
were
two.
always taught you can only have two.
Yeah,
Good and fast, it won't be cheap. Good and cheap, it won't be fast. It's
exactly.
all changed now. You can have all three. So don't be scared if you're launching a really expensive tech product or something, or a £1 million car. I don't know. There's always a way to start.
Mm-hmm.
And we have all this available online.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's all at our
we've
fingertips.
never had that before.
Yeah, yeah. And even in the short space of time since you launched your first business, right?
Yeah.
How much has changed? I think I've got at least one more question on the investment front. You
Yeah.
also mentioned UAE. I know that you're born and bred in London,
Yeah.
now live in Dubai. So
Yes.
I'd love to talk to you about that as well. But sticking with the investment sort of chapter, the way that I very first came across you was via Instagram,
Okay.
one of your gorgeous videos that you
Thank
put out there. And it was a fantastic piece of advice that you put out there for fundraising founders.
Okay.
So I would love for you to, I'll give you a bit more information in a sec, but I'd love for you to repeat what that was on the show. And I want to just use that as a bit of background for the listeners, but also to show how helpful the content is that you put out there.
Oh, thank you.
How much you break it down and how clear and simple and digestible. Like, it doesn't need to be, overwhelming people with terminologies and make people feel like they're outside of this closed circle.
Okay.
So the particular video that I saw was what founders should and shouldn't put in their email subject line when they are fundraising.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about this on the show. What was that?
Yeah. So because I get a lot of emails and I see such junk titles, and I think to myself, that's just a wasted opportunity for you because I'm not going to open that. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to open that. Like, talk to me, message me. I've done this. You just got to keep it really simple. You just got to give a few metrics. And it can be, even if you haven't launched your product, location. Tell me where the product or service is located. That's an immediate filter for me. Give me some kind of metric. Do you have an MRR, ARR? Is your MVP built? Anything. And don't be shy to tell me. If you think it's less, don't be shy. You're really helping me with my filtration system. And then tell me a bit about you, maybe. Are you an X something? Did you used to work here? Anything. Again, it's not a show off. It's just telling me who you are. And when I catch that and it's just 3 words, I will open it. And if I don't want to invest, I'll send it to maybe 20 other people that might want to.
Nice.
And I thoroughly recommend everyone do that. Even applying to accelerators.
Yeah.
Applying to YC. Even if you don't want to be a part of YC, just apply, because a registration form is the best filter. It tells you everything you need to think about your business.
Amazing.
It's free.
So even just the YC application is
It's free help.
exercise.
It's free help from the best accelerator in the world to date.
Yeah, incredible. That is incredible advice.
Yeah.
So putting that into action. So for example, if I were fundraising for my startup and I want to contact Saba, I'm putting London, 50K MRR,
Nice.
X, Google.
Yeah. I'm going to open it.
Okay. That's it.
100%. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
I don't
Please
need to
make-
say,
no,
I don't need to say
complicated, no.
democratising access to.
Then I'm not going to open it. And I know you wrote that on ChatGPT, and I'm not going to.
Oh, founders, honestly, if you take anything away from this interview, that the email subject lines, because what I love so much about this, my background is marketing and branding. So
Okay.
from a messaging perspective,
Yeah.
articulating your core value proposition, this clarifying process is so important, because it's just this buzzword soup that everyone switches off to, that is so boring, doesn't grab any attention. It makes it look like it's been written by ChatGPT, and it's not telling me anything. The amount of, even, we're using this as like email subject lines if you're pitching, but even on like homepages of websites, like, I don't know what you do. I don't understand what you do. And the worst thing you can do for people, and let alone busy investors, is add to that cognitive load for them.
It's so interesting that you're saying, I used to do all the above. I used to do all of this. I really had to learn the hard way how to simplify my life.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of podcasts, and people are always advising founders, be disciplined. be this, do things this way, make your deck like this, have mental strength, don't feel down. But if you look at the common denominator of all of this advice, it's just to be high agency. I can't stress it enough. It's the one thing that will give you all the above. I promise you. And it really simplifies your life. And as an investor, for example, when I backed Deeper Beauty last year, yes, the founder was incredibly high agency. Let's put her aside for 1 second. The product, she wasn't entering the skincare market. She was actually exposing the skincare market. She wasn't allowing for an excuse to be made for sunscreen anymore. And the way she communicated that to me was very clear, very simple. I didn't need to know anything else. I've been making excuses for sunscreen my whole life. I have melanin skin. I'm a woman of color. You have a white cast. You have ashiness. It's greasy. It peels under your makeup. You have so many issues. But even my Caucasian friends that have the whitest skin struggle with sunscreen.
Yeah.
Why are we always making excuses for a simple product?
Putting up with this.
In this day and age, there shouldn't be subpar products. There shouldn't be subpar services. We should get what we pay for. And this is the first time I've seen a sunscreen that actually does everything.
Incredible. Do you remember the subject line of her first email?
No, we actually met. We actually met. I was giving a talk at Google.
Interesting.
And she came up to me. She was so efficient, so kind to me. And I never forgot her. I couldn't stop thinking about her. I saved her number on my phone and I called her maybe 2-3 weeks later and we did a deal the day after.
Wow.
Yeah,
What an
I
incredible
couldn't stop
story.
thinking about her and her sunscreen.
What stood out? Let's break that down then,
Yeah.
because we talked about emails, but also like approaching investors
Yeah,
after
it's
they
not
the
easy.
talk.
I've been there.
That's
It's
another
not
route.
easy. You get fearful. You get
Sure.
imposter syndrome.
Sure.
She
But it
just
worked.
came up to me. I think I was eating. I'm always eating, and she just came up to me and shook my hand and said, "Hi, I'm this. I'm from here, and this is what I've done, and this is the unit economics
Wow.
of it." And she gave me so much information
She was ready. She was polished.
in the most well thought out,
Mm.
kind way. And I never forgot her. She told me the unit economics of the product in my first chat with her, so she'd already thought about it.
Amazing.
And now she used to work for Kareem, which is one of the biggest tech companies in the UAE. But I guarantee you that's not what made her high agency.
Yeah.
She's been working on herself for years.
Yeah.
You can just tell.
Wow.
And when I mean working on yourself, again, just spend time with yourself. Ask yourself the difficult question.
I love that. Love that all roads lead to Rome in this
Right.
sense, right? This high agency concept.
Right.
What advice or reassurance can you give founders who maybe are worried that like, I feel like so many people are like, oh, don't want to come across salesy or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, one thing is to your point of like taking that step, being brave and approaching a stranger, but then coming out with this like cold pitch almost.
Yeah.
How can somebody kind of overcome those fears of like, well, I don't just want to come like spout a load of figures at your face?
Yeah. I think you should be yourself. So if you're the type of person that leads with figures and spouts and has a tendency to spit on people when they're speaking, just be yourself. Because when you try to contrive something and you practice a speech, it really shows. So if you're a crazy scientist looking for investment into your technology, just be crazy. You will find the right investor for you, but trying to be someone else or a different version of yourself in business, it really does show. So I don't know if I could answer that question for you, because I actually like it when people are just themselves. Some people are really cold, by the way, and they're not nervous. They're just really cold and they're a bit socially inept. But you look past that. As an investor, you don't really care about that.
Interesting.
You're not listening to that.
So we touched on the email tip. This investment was made via originally like coming to you in person.
Yeah.
Any other like channels that are effective to get?
Yes,
investors'
by the
attention?
way, because the way you got my attention, speaking
Mine
of,
is a good one. We're going to gatekeep my
I
one.
was on LinkedIn.
It's a good one.
And I don't even know how to use LinkedIn. And I get so many messages every day. And I saw a voice note on LinkedIn. I didn't even know you could send voice notes on LinkedIn. And I couldn't wait to listen to it. I was like, who has made the effort
This is
to send me a voice note?
This is honestly, I'm not gatekeeping, guys, because I love you and I'm going to share what I can and help you. But it's one of the most,
I was touched.
it's one of the most effective strategies that I am half tempted to gatekeep. I never do gatekeep. I do
Sorry,
tell
I just
everyone.
exposed you.
No, I know. I talk to everyone about it all the time and I'm like, this is the best. But it's crazy how, but honestly, I got that from advice from
Yeah,
somebody
sure,
else who
sure.
I do look up to and is amazing. There was a piece of advice they gave to me
Sure.
and it actually works. Case in point with you sat right here.
Yeah.
But those things, that's what I'm also interested to hear from you about as well, is like for fundraising founders, getting people's attention. So we've got anything else you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I was touched by that. It was very personal. And I couldn't wait to reply to you. Instant. I didn't put my phone away. So thank you for that.
Amazing.
Let me think. Yeah, people think that there's a big gap between founders and investors, but that gap is way smaller than you think. I know we live in a world of work from home and technology and social media, but I truly think nothing beats face to face. And if you live in a major city or even sub-major city, there are going to be networking events. They sound like a drag, but you don't lose anything by going to a networking event, maybe 2 hours of your life, and the potential upside
Show up.
is huge.
Yeah.
I've met incredible people
Yeah.
at networking events, investors. People have met me. I mean, we've done great things.
Yeah.
So unassuming.
Yeah.
Networking events. I would say don't stop going to them. You never know.
I would 100% agree with that. And just to add even more kind of validation and encouragement for listeners as well, especially if there's more kind of introverted founders who like it is an effort to kind of pluck up that energy and like the last thing they want to do is like go to a networking event. One of my fundraising founder friends, she's incredible. Love her to be. She's also was a guest on the show as well. She's fundraising at the moment and she's one of the shyest, quietest, most introverted people. She's really had to push herself out of her comfort zone. But she was telling me she showed up to this event on paper. It didn't really seem that much. But she's like pulling herself up by her bootstraps, pushing herself out of her comfort zone. And she got an investment off the back of it.
Wow.
And it wasn't even anyone that she was specifically like pitching to. It was a real happenstance situation where it was almost someone on the side of the conversation. Where I think the story was she was actually pitching to somebody else.
Wow.
And they were on the sidelines and watching her and listening to her pitch, which is funny because I've heard a few more stories like that as well, where someone's told someone else about their business, not doing it with the fun, which is kind of your point on like a polished practice presentation. Actually, if somebody's just hearing you speak naturally about something, it can, it's this reverse psychology almost, right? It can create even more interest. And they followed up with her. They booked a call and they signed, I think, a 50K angel deal with her the next day because of that event. So this is like reverse engineering.
That was authentic.
Yeah.
That was her probably just being authentic, talking to someone else, not knowing that another is listening.
100%.
And I think you should just, when you're approaching investors, just be authentic because investors are not looking at how well you speak or is your hair brushed. We really are. We're not even looking at your ability, by the way. We are looking for how you're going to execute this. They have the best ideas out there that have failed because of poor execution. So that is, I think, the EQ that we're looking for behind the words.
That makes a lot of sense. I really think on that note as well, I think ideas are overrated.
Yeah.
I really do. You saying about ideas and how you
I think I made a video on it.
Oh, did you as
well?
Okay,
that
cool.
There's no harm in not copying, but taking inspiration from other ideas and just executing it better. I mean, there are countless examples of
100%, 100% definitely with you on that. So love that. I think there is that case for being yourself, but also, again, the kind of the offline, the cutting through the noise, the getting out there in person. Let's move on. How long have you been in Dubai now? I want to talk about the...
I want to say about 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm so curious to get your perspective on how London versus Dubai, how the two cities compare, especially as it relates to entrepreneurship.
You feel very safe. And that is something that I struggle, not only in London, but in other cities as well, as a woman. Business related, as a woman in business, which I don't talk about too often because I don't want to create a separation, I've never felt so respected.
Wow.
Really.
Interesting.
Really. And I've dealt with it all.
Wow.
in the past in Europe, in the States, in the UK, but I have never been so respected. And I look forward to and I enjoy working with women and men in the UAE. And it's one of their pillars.
Yeah.
They really support women. They want to see women thrive.
Wow.
So that's one pillar that I
Amazing.
really appreciate. Safety is another pillar
Yeah.
I appreciate. The legal system really protects you, which I love. They care a lot about protecting the people that are contributing to their society, contributing to their economy.
Nice.
And
from
I
an
love the weather.
The weather's good.
Yeah. From an entrepreneurial perspective, the opportunities there, because it is a bit of a melting pot of so many different nationalities. So you have so many different opportunities. I find the UK, you get more no's. I find in the UAE, you get more chances.
We're traditional closing questions,
Yeah.
Saba. Show called Strategy and Tragedy. And I love that you love the name as well. I appreciate that. What's one tragedy that's taught you an unforgettable lesson?
There is one that always comes to my mind because it is the biggest tragedy. I turned down a £30 million purchase of half of my company.
Wow.
I
Oh.
thought I could get a better offer and I didn't. And I lose sleep over this.
From the first business,
Yeah.
because you mentioned a couple of times that was undervalued.
Yes.
And you're like, move on, doesn't matter.
Yes.
But you still mentioned it a
I
couple of
did,
times. You
yeah.
still said
Yeah.
it wasn't, it was a lesson learned, but I
Yeah.
didn't get enough for it.
Yeah.
I wonder if that had anything to do with it coming back
Maybe.
into play now,
Maybe.
later on, and being like, no, I didn't get enough of that
Yeah.
first deal, and that's stuck with you since, maybe.
Could be right. Hopefully I've got it out my system. I don't do that again. And you might have just saved me a month in therapy. Thank you.
Saba, thank you so much for
No,
coming on the
you.
show. What a genuine pleasure.
Thank you.
And, just so lovely to meet you and hear some of your story. But also, I think our listeners have taken something away from this. So appreciate you sharing your tips.
The pleasure was mine.
Thank you so much. And if you enjoyed listening to this, you know what to do. Please hit that like or follow button wherever you're listening to this. Episodes are weekly. So hopefully see you next Wednesday.